Pakistan and protect it. That's declassified, NBC News, Times of London, BBC. I made films on the subject, 9/11, The Road to Tyranny, you name it. So here's the deal. Saudi Arabia is the big globalist ally. They run Al-Qaeda. They run IS. And they are working with criminals in our government to empower this group while having plausible deniability, and they bomb, supposedly a couple of armored vehicles and some artillery. And then Obama talks about, oops, a permanent force. They always were going to keep a permanent force there. They never really completely left. And now our own military will believe we're there fighting IS when really we're there to help make sure the country's broken in three and turned over to total balkanization and economic conflict. This is the globalist model, just like they're lowering our borders to balkanize our nation and bring in the North American Union. They bring in super regions, but then subdivide the super regions internally along racial, religious, and ethnic lines. David Knight's coming up. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. If you're listening to this transmission, you are the resistance. Stay with us on this 10th of August, 2014 edition.
Hi, I'm Dr. Edward Group. It took me 20 years of searching the globe to find the deposit of the highest purity iodine available. The new Survival Shield X2 is mined from 7,000 to 10,000 feet below the earth in pristine, environmentally clean conditions. The iodine crystals we use are extracted from an ancient 300 million plus year old deposit deep in the earth. It's the strongest nascent iodine on the market today. It delivers 650 micrograms per drop. Experience the new formula. Experience the ancient purity. Shield your family. Survival Shield X2. Available now at InfoWarsLife.com.
X2 from InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
In the near future.
When you realize how fake it all is, the football, the basketball.
Alert. Security alert. This is Homeland Security. Analysis. InfoWars building independent media operation.
We let the worst people get control and tell us that we are the ones responsible.
Prime Directive. Discredit Alex Jones.
Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
It's a popular conspiracy theory talk show called InfoWars.
Alex Jones is now in an Austin jail.
These people are assaulting us.
Targeting of patriots engaged.
They are never going to stop. They're never going to deviate from their program until we stop them.
Block free iPhone app at Infowars.com. Block free podcast and video feed. Imperative. Destroy Prison Planet TV.
You gotta set your eye on the enemy, not worry about what propaganda they put out. Intellectually, it's begun. You can feel it.
This is Alex Jones for InfoWarsLife.com. The latest in preparedness is now here. An electrically stabilized colloidal silver solution that can be added to both your home cabinet and preparedness pack alike. Concentrated to 30 parts per million in what has been dubbed the Survival Silver Solution. The new InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver is the answer for you and your family. And it's entirely free of toxic artificial additives that are loaded into many products. The InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Silver is so powerful that it is concentrated into a 2-ounce bottle and is not recommended for extended continual use. This is not a low-grade formula. We are working with one of the top laboratory manufacturers in the United States to bring you the best form of colloidal silver using electrical processes within a base of deionized water. For your preparedness storage or your home kitchen, purchase your bottle of InfoWarsLife.com Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver today and find other amazing supplements at InfoWarsLife.com. From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
Coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
You've got it. This transmission is coming to you.
Waging war on corruption.
All right, you are go.
It's Alex Jones, coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight in studio this Sunday, August 10th, 2014. Now, yesterday on the 9th was the 40th anniversary of the official resignation of Richard Nixon. And I have before me his letter, and I'm going to read it to you in its entirety, so hang on. This is really long. I hereby resign the office of President of the United States. Sincerely, Richard Nixon. That's all he said. Now, we do have his speech here. We have some excerpts from that. But the thing that I found interesting about this letter, besides its brevity, was the fact that he resigned to Mr. Secretary. Dear Mr. Secretary, he says, to the Honorable Henry A. Kissinger. He resigned to Henry Kissinger, not to the Vice President, not to the Speaker of the House, who would have been second and third in line. No, he resigned to his boss, Henry Kissinger, the man who basically was the power behind the throne, the guy who was calling the shots, I believe, in the Nixon White House. But we're going to look at this. You know, a lot of people there's not that much coverage of the anniversary, actually, in the press. I'm kind of surprised with it being 40th anniversary. Maybe they don't want to have any comparisons between Richard Nixon and Obama, because there are some amazing comparisons. Now, of course, Richard Nixon had his secret bombing of Cambodia, but Obama doesn't make any secrets of his illegal bombing activities. He doesn't make any secret of the fact that he assassinates people by drones, that he assassinates American citizens without due process, that he kills their children without due process. You know, because it wasn't just Anwar al-Awlaki, it was his 16-year-old son who was also killed in a separate raid. He doesn't make any issue of the fact that he has this illegal war in Libya. As a matter of fact, they bragged about the fact that they didn't feel like they needed to consult with the American Congress at all in Libya. And now we see that happening again in Iraq. And of course, as this is starting, as we pointed out earlier, and as we're going to go to Alex's special report in this hour, that Obama, talking about this new bombing in Iraq, says that this is going to be a long-term project. It isn't going to take just a couple of weeks. Now, some of the bloodthirsty neocon warmongers are very upset that he didn't give this new mission a special name, that he then went on to play golf. Well, I don't really know what to say about this, because to me, I'm bothered by the fact that they would begin and end the war in Libya with a UN resolution, with a NATO resolution, and that after the fact, when Senator Sessions questioned Defense Secretary Panetta about what do you need to go to war, and he clearly said, I don't really need to do anything other than I might talk to the UN, I might talk to our allies at NATO. And do we have that clip? I wanted to play a little bit of that clip. Yeah, let's play a little bit of that clip with Sessions going back and forth with Panetta.
We worried about international legal basis, but nobody worried about the fundamental constitutional
this is Senator Sessions.
Legal basis that this Congress has over war. We were not asked, stunningly, in direct violation of the War Powers Act, whether or not you believe it's constitution. It certainly didn't comply with it. We spent our time worrying about the UN, the Arab League, NATO, and too little time, in my opinion, worried about the elected representatives of the United States. Do you think that you can act without Congress
he's asking Panetta,
and initiate a no-fly zone in Syria without congressional approval?
You know, again, our goal would be to seek international permission, and we would come to the Congress and inform you and determine how best to approach this, whether or not we would want to get permission from the Congress. I think those are issues we would have to discuss as we decide what to do here.
Now, hold it right there. Hold it right there. To hear that, I mean, I'm amazed at that, just as Senator Sessions was. But, of course, the Republicans didn't do anything about that. That was back, I think, in early 2012 or late 2011. You guys can check the date on that. But nothing has happened in the interim. And so now we have this again. We have Obama waiting until Congress is gone. And as Alex Jones just pointed out in the last segment, we had video of these guys going in convoys on open roads with no air cover, just on their pickup trucks with their weapons and the soldiers hanging off the side, traveling very slowly in single file down these roads. Everybody at the time said if you wanted to stop this now, you could stop it. And it wasn't that they hadn't done anything at that point. They had already been taking action against Christians, massacring Christians in Syria from where they're coming. There you can see that if you're watching the broadcast on our website on Infowars.com. Again, there's that picture that we saw there. Everybody knew that was going on. That wasn't a classified or secret picture. That was reporters taking a picture of this very long, very, very slow convoy of guys carrying weapons going from Syria, where they had been equipped and trained by the American government, where they had committed atrocities against Christians, very slowly driving into Iraq. This is what we're seeing, and it's a continuing pattern of abuse. And, of course, Secretary Panetta says, you know, we don't have to have Congress's authorization to get involved in a war. We need to have that conversation, because not only is this a situation where our government is arming and training these terrorists, and as Alex correctly pointed out, as everybody was saying, we don't need to be the Air Force for al-Qaeda in Syria, so they changed the name. They rebranded themselves. We saw the same thing happen in Iraq when there were a lot of scandals with the mercenary forces there with Blackwater. Once everybody started talking about Blackwater, and that was on everybody's mind, they changed their names multiple times after that. So after it became very clear to everyone in Syria that, yes, we were, in fact, arming and training al-Qaeda rebels, and nobody could deny it. And we had people from Ted Cruz to Dennis Kucinich, both Democrats and Republicans, talking about how they wanted us to be al-Qaeda's Air Force in Syria. After that became common knowledge and it could no longer be disputed, we had John McCain posing with pictures with these guys as they're training them. After that, they had to change their name to ISIS. But, of course, they're not going to do anything to put up any real resistance. And Alex is going to cover that. But I want to talk about, are we really better off now that we got rid of Nixon? You know, everybody wants to talk about Nixon. They want to talk about how corrupt he is, but they don't want to make the connections to today, to Obama. You know, we can feel very good about the fact that Nixon was taken out of office. And, of course, there's some interesting aspects of that. There was a lot of behind-the-scenes politics, obviously, going on with that. Deep Throat was the, I believe, #2 guy in the FBI. We all know how J. Edgar Hoover knew everything that everybody was doing, even before the NSA was watching everybody's email, listening to everybody's conversations and recording them. J. Edgar Hoover had a pretty good bead on men in power. That alone is one of the reasons that we need to stand down our intelligence services, make them follow the law, make them not get into a situation as one of the presidents said, J. Edgar Hoover knows everything about us. It was Truman who said that. He's got stuff on everybody in power, everyone in Congress, implying that he even had stuff on him. So the #2 guy being Deep Throat, feeding this information to a couple of rookie reporters, that raises a lot of questions as to really what was behind maneuvering Nixon out of office. But it was also a period of time, I think, when the law was taken a little bit more seriously than it is today. Just as we had at one time a constitutional amendment to have alcohol prohibition, nobody bothers with any constitutional amendments to prohibit anything today. They just do whatever they wish. That is the law that we have now. We're going to talk a little bit about the legacy of Richard Nixon. Of course, things like the EPA, the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's not just the secret bombing of Cambodia. He started the war on drugs. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about what people think about this. But coming up after the break, we're going to have Alex's breakdown of what's going on with ISIS. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
City of Austin Tap tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water?
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered with the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com